Welcome to the fourth in our lecture series on the biblical roots of Catholic social thought, and in this case we're going to be taking a look at the book of Leviticus, which is a book of laws, and we're going to be especially focusing on the Jubilee laws. Leviticus is one of the first 5 books of the Old Testament, otherwise known as the Pentateuch, and the Jubilee law in Leviticus 25:10 was likely constructed during a time before the kingdom was established. And we talked in our last lecture, number 3, about the book of Samuel and the establishment of the kingdom. The Jubilee law likely predates the kingdom, and you'll see why, I think. Its purpose was to restore equality among the people of Israel. And it was a socio-political law that was, at the same time, a statement of faith. It is a statement that God is sovereign king, and the people are all equal in God's eyes. If you remember the end of our last lecture, we were looking at social structures in Samuel, and that one of them, God was king, and all of the people were equal and had a relationship to God that was direct. With the establishment of a kingdom and hierarchy, that relationship to God became indirect because human beings set up a hierarchical system in which the person at the top had a special relationship with God, and the rest of us had this relationship that was intermediated by that one person. The Jubilee specifically states that every 50 years the slaves were to be freed in the land of Israel, debts were to be forgiven, and the people were to be returned to their ancestral lands and to be resettled there and reoccupy the lands of their ancestors. Under this arrangement, it was difficult for permanent privileged classes to emerge in Israel, because every 50 years, in many ways, you could say the slate was wiped clean. If for one reason or another you had fallen into bad economic times or good economic times, every 50 years it didn't matter whether you were well off or poorly off, you all more or less returned to a state of equality. The message here is that God sees us as equals and wants our social, political, and economic structures to reflect that essential equality.